likely to deny truth, that admit grave error and change our minds. Even in the face of overwhelming evidence or imminent destruction, we refuse to believe in any gods but our own. Who can bear for the ground to dissolve under their feet and the stars to fall from the sky? So we twist every story to preserve our faith. The master of poisons thought he had escaped this terrible but mundane fate. Hadn't he warned the emperor, a close friend from warrior days, at the first inklings of disaster? Didn't he plead with counsel and make proclamations to good citizens to change their ways when the poison desert could have been contained? While sweet water still fell from the sky every afternoon and mists rolled in on the night wind, nobody listened. Change? Our way of life? The emperor said. Well, until we know more, the master of poisons replied. Well, this is surrender and defeat. The emperor worked up to a roar. Traitor! How dare you shout that my empire has been poisoned before you know the antidote? Too startled to beg for reason, too wise to plead for mercy, the master of poisons attended to his next breath. He had saved the emperor's life countless times, had helped him conquer all the green lands from Idaho Mountain to the salty sea. So instead of condemning him to death, the emperor banished his oldest friend and advisor. Guards wrenched the poison master from his seat at council and threw him on a mercenary ship bound for the floating cities. 11 years, his council seat had remained empty. Trapped in enemy lands, a slave to thief lords, the master of poisons clung to this hopeful gesture and studied the spread of poison desert. Rivers ran dry, soil turned too toxic to plow, forests and fields disintegrated, choking the wind with golden dust. Songbirds vanished, their melodies forgotten. Slaving for pirates, the poison master ate little and slept hardly at all. Sandstorms and mirages filled his mind. In exile, a man might lose his wits, and who would notice? Sanity was an elusive shapeshifter. The poison master pursued truth and ignored distraction. This was his genius. After 11 years of raids and ambushes, of sleepless nights and days, afternoons, finally, what the poison master spied with his right eye and touched with his left hand burst into white-hot flames. Whether he conjured precious metals, noble crystals, or numinous cloth, first came a blast of heat, then cool treasure glittered and gleamed. A village bakery became an ounce of gold dust. A merchant's palace turned into a bloody garnet. A spirit house dissolved into yards of cloud silk. The sandstorm came later. When this foul air dispersed, only toxic ground remained. Once the master of poison solved the mystery of desert encroaching on green lands, he wasted no time celebrating success. He slipped through enemy lines to reach the borderlands and protectorates of the Archies Empire. Word of his powers spread 1,000 miles to Idaho, the capital city of the empire, but council kept babbling lies in the emperor's ear. So, the poison master planned a carnival of destruction at the temple hall of the mountain gods during the midsummer festival. Obsessed, relentless, and maybe not quite right in his head, he marched into the holy city at noonday when the highest peak cast the shortest shadow. Only Idaho Mountain had a peak so high with ghost blue glaciers frozen year-round. Barbarians, savages, and citizens would gather this evening to receive blessings from fickle mountain gods. At the festival's end, they would pay tribute to High Priest Baram and his witch doctors. This was money snatched from the emperor's coffers, from roads and bridges, armies and waterworks. And water was fluid treasure, the empire's greatest currency. During the noonday heat, most people in the holy city withdrew to cool cellars for siesta, love play, or study. However, women's societies toiled to prepare feasts and dances. Transgressors did penance labor, what no righteous person would soil their spirits with. The streets in the holy city were swept clean of dung and festooned with flowers that seduced a riot of rare songbirds. The poison master donned a silver blindfold and headed for the festival plaza in the citadel. He tapped counterpoint to the hummingbirds with a blind man's staff. Cheerful cooks offered him honey cakes. Warrior acolytes guarding the citadel gates laughed at an unarmed, disabled supplicant. They assumed he arrived early to be nearest the water altars. "Hope to catch a wayward miracle, do you?" One sneered and let him pass. Sweating and muttering in character, he picked his way around clay cottages perched atop underground streams. The holy men stayed cool all day, even with hundreds of lamps burning. Transgressors provided a steady supply of tree oil, wild goat, and ice from the mountain. Barbarians brought books, scrolls, and tapestry from across the world, and savages offered children to bed. The holy men had no complaints. Blindfolded, the poison master was not distracted by luxury or other power spells. He passed through the frosty metalwork of the dream gates. His skin prickled at the gate's cold conjure. He zigzagged across the stone altar square and into the sundial courtyard. Lines of quartz and amethyst marked the sun's transit across the sky. Rainbows played across his white robes. As he marched on sacred crystals, his heart thundered in his ears. Nestled below jagged cliffs was the only temple to the supreme god and his gang of minions outside of Idaho. This spirit house guarded the mouth of the Snake River, and water for all green lands in this region flowed from Ice Mountain to the salty sea, a perfect site for reckoning fire. Tapping a staccato rhythm on the bottom step to the temple, the poison master proclaimed, "I will bring your spirit hall down. Come to the sundial courtyard and witness defeat." He muttered a foul wind to carry his words and awakened Baram, high priest of Ice Mountain and witch doctor of dreams. Everyone in the city awakened to these words echoing in the streets. No one believed their ears. Only a man wishing death would wield a weapon or weapon spell inside the dream gates. Unafraid, many folks abandoned cool cellars to go witness the miracle of God striking down foolishness. The master of poisons waited patiently for his audience, who no doubt saw themselves as good citizens of the empire. Few men were evil in their own minds, but the poison master saw empire citizens as blood-sucking demons destroying green lands. He savored their last breaths of sweet air. The terror he was about to unleash would force everyone in the empire and beyond to heed his words and change. As feet stampeded through the dream gates, the poison master called up an image of the spirit house in his mind's eye. The skulls of martyred saints leered at him from massive porticos. Cathedral tree columns rose 500 feet, anchoring glass walls and forming archways to the glory of the supreme God. The flags of rich merchants and thief lords fluttered on iron spires. Water rumbled through culverts and dams to the Snake River. The teeth of supposed traitors rattled in glass jars. His teeth could have been there. Transgressor blood bubbled and coagulated in iron pots, food for power spells and dream conjure. Every midsummer fools come to curse the festival. His audience reached the stone altar square with a roar. "This clown is too crazy to wait for evening cool." Well, he'll be cold as a ghost soon. The poison masters sucked up their enthusiasm for his imminent demise. He removed a silver mesh glove and touched the bottom step to the temple with his bare left hand. He took a breath. Blindfolded, he had to rely on his mind's eye to work the spell. The mob halted 50 yards from him and hushed. Only priests risked treading on the crystals in the sundial courtyard. Rainbow spirits were tricksters, playful one moment, deadly another. A geyser of flame as wide as the spirit house spurted beyond blue sky to the stars. A chaste fire, it did not spread to nearby tiers, but whirled tight against the temple walls. With each twist and turn, it consumed a wooden portico, glass facade, or stone tower. So much fire, does the fool burn? I don't think so. Confusion and disbelief spread through the mob. When the poison master took another breath, the temple was a mound of turquoise nuggets nestled in yards of cloud silk. Savage deities and their brutal curses were trapped in the nuggets' spidery orange veins. 3 afternoon worshippers and an acolyte tending transgressor blood were vapor. The poison master refused these hapless dead a heartbeat of regret. He hoarded regret for the deaths of his families. Several scrolls and holy books wrapped in silver mesh tumbled down disintegrating steps. They landed by the turquoise nuggets and raised a cloud of golden sand that stung his shins. Did the temple burn? Someone whimpered. As ashes fell on their heads, the good citizens refused the evidence of their senses. High Priest Bahram, frantic, blue robe tangled, head and feet bare, raced across the sundial courtyard toward the now whirling poison master. Bahram swallowed pride and fell to the ground. Dragging silky brown hair and beard in the dirt, he kissed dung-coated boots and begged for mercy. Witch doctors, lesser priests, and groggy acolytes surged past the water altars onto the sundial. Sumptuous yellow robes cushioned clumsy falls as they dropped down behind their leader. Citizens, savage chiefs, and barbarians seethed behind the holy men. The warriors had left armor and weapons at the dream gates. They looked naked and foolish. A few howled. Behind the men, women dancers and cooks in festival robes hugged each other at the edge of the plaza. The women were careful not to desecrate the stone altar square with female flesh, lest they call down more catastrophe. Festival conjure, Chief Cook Tembe shouted. An Ayalawa, wise woman from the north, she was the only woman who dare speak in the priestly citadel. Nothing else burns. This is impossible, a mirage, a nightmare spell. Tembe's words calmed most of the crowd. Those who still wanted to run from catastrophe were jammed in too tight to move. The supreme God wouldn't turn a blind eye and abandon the faithful. The holy men knew better. The gods only cared for power.